debt, the distance between my children, grandchildren, and myself, working side jobs just to make ends meet, finally took its toll on me. From the age of 18 to 60, I have moved 24 times. That, guys, is an average of one every 1.75 years. I'm pretty sure, besides red, that I have moving blood running through my veins. Lonely, lost, disconnected, and feeling like I was losing my purpose here on earth was my catalyst for change. Join me as I share a timeline of my journey to becoming a gypsy digital nomad, full-time, living in my car that I fondly call Serenity Sedan. Hi guys, thanks for joining me. I'm not sure where to look. I have notes today. I'm looking at the beautiful background. I'm looking to make sure that I'm smiling and looking at you, and I'm trying to look at the camera too. So forgive me if my eyes shift a little bit. But today I am sharing with you my story, and I'm sticking with it. This is Linda with Serene and Simple Life. Welcome to the first in a series, Sit and Share Sunday. Today I am sharing my story up close and personal. It's 9 months since I took a leap of faith and am taking a journey to live full-time in my car into the great unknown. So like I said, I do have notes, and they're off to the side of me, so I'm going to shift my notes now. This is so I stay on track and don't become what I call a babbling brook. All right, so you would think I would know my story by heart, but we can get a little bit, off. So I want to keep on track here. Okay, first of all, the backdrop. I grew up in a small town, 30 miles east of Pittsburgh, in a middle-class family, a hard-working father, a hard-working stay-at-home mom. We lived modestly, and our big vacation once a year was to a beach nearby, either in a different state or in Pennsylvania. I couldn't wait to leave home and get out on my own. Part of it rebellious, part of it just who I am. Just wanted to be on my own. So at 18, I moved out, being stationary in the same home my entire life. Same home. Ventured out, went to business school, got an associate degree in fashion merchandising. I skipped having a career in corporate America, which was my original plan. I got married instead and became an entrepreneur to help supplement income. I was a military spouse, and I was digging the moves that go hand in hand with the military. We lived in San Antonio, we lived in Denver, in Virginia. Well, unfortunately, no smiles here. After 9 years and 2 children, the marriage dissolved. I went into some intense counseling on my own to try to save the marriage, but it takes two. And after quite a bit of heavy-duty counseling, I actually did something major in my life. I stopped drinking. I was a heavy drinker. First it was to fit in, and then it was out of loneliness and just to while away the time and hope that it would, just to black out the time. But I stopped drinking, and I'm now sober for 29 years, so that's a big smile. So I did definitely, play a role in the collapse, and happy to say that I'm sober now, 29 years. Okay, so now what? Now what? I'm a single mom, 2 small children, 6 and 2. We moved back to Pennsylvania to be near my parents, and with their help and support, was able to move into a single wide 72-foot mobile home. It was good times. I mean, the kids were little, and good memories right there in small town USA. Well, I also became an entrepreneur in a direct sales company, which I did for 23 years. And after 7 years, I was able to buy my own home. Yes, with a mortgage payment, a hefty mortgage payment, but still something to call my own. And I decided to stay put, just as I knew growing up, until my kids graduated high school. And then I was going to fulfill what I call a rebellious dream. Yeah, I rebelled. At 16, I would tell my dad, I'm moving to California and I'm not coming back. And he's like, you don't want to move to California. California's going to fall in the ocean. And I'm like, I'll fall in the ocean right with them. Attitude. Well, 2 years before my daughter graduated, I made a timeline, actually, literally a poster. And I had a timeline that I crossed off daily, weekly, the days, the countdown. It was a countdown calendar until I would be able to move and fulfill my dream to move to California. So my daughter graduated high school in the evening. I sold my home in the morning, as things go. And the next day we took off and we drove 3,000 miles cross country to Southern California. Now my son stayed behind with his dad. But anyways, so with that, we lived in California for 6 years, and I moved 7 times. 7 times in 6 years in California. What I was chasing rent. I was trying to save money. So every time my lease would be up with rent, I would decide to move to a different city. Well, that was fun because I got to see all kinds of different cities. But I was still just in that rat race of rent. I could no longer afford to buy like I had in Pennsylvania. I got my real estate license thinking, I'm going to sell a few homes and bam, I'm going to buy my own home. Well, that didn't happen. It was during 2008, the crash of the market and everything. So eventually, I had to decide that California was no longer an option for me. And I was working side jobs. I had 2 or 3 side jobs before I decided, now what? Now what do I do? And a daughter moved on. She got married. And let's see, on to my 3rd page here. My next stop was Delaware. I thought, how cool would it be to live near the beach at 1/10 of the cost? And you're probably thinking, what the heck, Delaware? I mean, people in California looked at me like I had lost my mind. Probably did. Anyways, Delaware. Said, never mind. We used to vacation there at the beach growing up, and I knew how pretty it was. Nothing against Delaware, but I was still an entrepreneur working in the direct sales and starting my own line of products. And I was like, you know what? If I stay in Delaware, I'm going to wither and die. The people, it's an old state. What can I say? A lot of retired people, and it wasn't the market for my product like I thought, was doing pretty well working in California. So after a year and a half, I put my beautiful 3-bedroom manufactured home up for sale. I had bought a manufactured home at this point, and in 30 days, it was sold. So that was pretty exciting. What next? Where do I go now? Well, I still had the West Coast hanging inside of my moving blood, and I'm like, you know what? I am going to go to Arizona. I knew I could no longer afford to go back to California, so I thought, why not Arizona? I'm still going to have the mountains. I'm still going to be a couple hours from California. I could go there, go to the beach. So that's what I did. First, I rented for a little bit, very little bit, 4 or 5 months, and then I decided, you know what? I'm going to buy a little mobile home on some Indian reservation land, pretty inexpensive, and I'm going to dress it up and remodel it and turn it into a cottage. And in my mind, I was like, this is it. This is it. I've got my cute little cottage. You know, it was only like 600 square feet. I dumped $10,000 into it, into repairs. Well, it wasn't it. The joke's on me. The very high temperatures in Arizona ended up getting some skin issues like eczema and stuff. Crazy. I don't know if it was the heat or not, but the heat definitely amplified the itchiness. And we're talking major AC repairs. My AC could not keep up in that little mobile home, so I had to buy a new one, $3,000, blah, blah. So I was like, I can't do this anymore. So, and actually the land was being sold and I needed to get out of there. So I decided to put my home up for sale before things get bad there. Still don't know what's going on with the reservation now. And where do I go now? Oh my gosh. Now I've been in Delaware, I've been on the East Coast, I've been back to the West Coast. My business is starting to thrive a little bit. I've let go of my direct sales business now, and now I am into my own business, Say It, Display It. I launched that in July 2015 in Arizona. It was fantastic. Divine intervention. I mean, I found a designer there. Things were just really falling in place. So I thought I'll go back to California. No, progressive, lots of money. Maybe I'll make it big there with my business in California. I'm going back to my first love, as you could say. Well, it only took 2 years this time instead of 6 to figure out I can no longer afford the costs in California. I'm done paying for sunshine, and I'm also done feeling the pain at the pump, for those of you who know West Coast gas prices. I need to get California out of my system, or needed to, for good. Now they say never, so I think it's out of my system. I don't want to come back with you a year from now, 2 years from now, and say, I'm living in California. So, but anyways, I think it's out of my system. And I started thinking, now what am I going to do? What am I going to do? I have one grandchild that I'm leaving in California now. You know, he's little, he's my littlest. That was very hard to do, very hard. But I have 2 grandchildren in Texas. Okay, I'm going to go back to Texas. We were there 32 years prior. My son was born in San Antonio. And these are the kind of things I believe in, like God brings you full circle, full circle. So, okay, I'll go to the Lone Star State. No state tax, business-friendly state. Few hours from my grandchildren. I wasn't going to move next door to them. That was not an option. So that's not what this video is about, but we're not going to go there. So I went 3.5 hours away and found a cute little city and started doing craft shows there, actually just a little over a year ago. And yeah, so there I was done paying for rent. Money was getting very, very scarce, as I have an excellent product. As those of you who watch my Monday Meaningful Messages, no bragging, just saying it's divine intervention. I couldn't have done that on my own. But money's scarce. You know, people all the time have a great product, but no cash flow. Well, that's where I'm at this moment. It is what it is, you know. So I had to rent still. But now this time from an apartment, I have gone to renting in one room. One room. It's like, okay, I'll get a huge room. I'll turn it into sections. I love interior decorating, and I'll make little sections. You know, I'll have a living room section, kitchen section, bedroom section, my business, and it'll be cozy. It'll be great. Well, it was for a few months. I am still working side jobs. Now, fast forward a lot, I haven't covered, but through the years as an entrepreneur, I have always worked side jobs. And I counted my side jobs that I have done in the last, since I was 32, 12 side jobs. We're talking minimum wage jobs, only to make ends meet, only for rent, not to get ahead, just for paying rent. And one of those jobs, I proudly sort of say, was recycling. That was good. But some people call that dumpster diving, and it really was one step away from dumpster diving. It was a dirty job, lived in an apartment complex. I would go out every single day and collect about $10. And so over the course of a month, it ended up being, I don't know, maybe $150, $200. And it felt like play money. It felt like a little extra spending money. But that was one of my side jobs while I'm building a business or, with the direct sales. Well, here we are now. We have fast forwarded all the different states, all the different moving on July 1st, 2019. While renting a room in Texas, I'm looking at my notes here, life was about to change as I had known it to be. 12 side jobs, 24 moves. Remember I told you at the beginning, every 1.75 years I had moved. On a beautiful Sunday afternoon, God spoke to me. He spoke in the depths of my soul. It wasn't audible. It wasn't like earth-shattering. It was just within me. I had just returned from church and a walk, and I'm sitting on my little love seat, very little, watching television, as I do every Sunday afternoon after I spend some time outdoors and go to church. He planted a new seed in my heart, and he opened a door for me to pursue a life full-time as a gypsy nomad. That's what I call myself. And even my daughter for Christmas, I'm sure some of you have already seen this, Gypsy Soul, it says on there. So that's pretty cool. And I felt it. It was time for a real change, not just the Band-Aid type. So with that, I'm putting up my next paper here to stay on track. We're getting a little long. I started researching van life. I joined Facebook groups, just put in van life, YouTube channels. But what I call the biggest God wink was stumbling across cheap RV living with Bob Wells. Thank you, Bob. A God wink. Did that open up doors for me of knowledge and just learning about the lifestyle? I had no clue. And my idea was to go and get a minivan. So I asked a lot of questions online. What kind of minivan, Well, twice I had lined up to go buy a minivan, and it had sold right out from under me right before I got there. Right before. I'm like, God, what's that all about? God knew that it would wipe out my bank account. Literally, I am not exaggerating. I was thinking around 10,000. I wasn't going to buy brand new, 2008, 2009. And I would have no buffer, none. And I knew Bob always said, go at least with $3,000, especially with a car. So God's message to me was, I want you to be content with what you have. Be content with what you have. Not living in a room, paying someone else's rent, paying someone else rent, not that kind of being content, but with what I have right now in the moment. And that was my Acura sedan of 16 years that I bought brand new right after I had bought a brand new house back in Pennsylvania for me and my kids. I sold 80% of all of my stuff. That was while I was still looking for a minivan and trying to buffer up or bring up the bank account. And I put 20% remaining in storage, some scrapbooks, a nice little Texas rocker, just a few things. But 80% of it is really my business product. Anyways, so now with that said, now you know how that came to be with all the moving and everything. I'm going to share with you just a few little bullets of what I'm over. And this is not an attitude. Really, it's not an attitude. It's just a complete serenity. I'm done. First of all, I am done with side jobs alongside a direct sales business and now my say it, display it current business. I'm done just having a side job to make ends meet. I am done living in someone else's home. with a 3-car garage. And they're massive, and I mean massive. 3 times I've lived in someone's room, twice in California, once in Texas. Massive amounts of stuff. But I had to park on the driveway or on the street. That feels a little bit like an attitude, but seriously, that just tells you how much stuff they had, that there was no room for me to park in the garage. I mean, even like hailstorms in Texas, I was asking my landlady, is there any way I can squeeze in your... There was no way to squeeze in her garage. Are you kidding me? And lastly, the paying rent, which I've already talked about, but to come home after working all day or evening, whatever it be, to a very quiet 4 walls except for the television. If any of you live alone, you know what I'm talking about. If you're not having people coming over, there's no family around. I have lots of friends, but they're scattered, married, here, there, everywhere. And they weren't going to just come to my room, and we weren't just going to sit and have a little pizza party with Kool-Aid in my room. So I'm just done with that. And over the course of 10 years, I did the math, $190,000 in rent, which brings me to the point number 1, the side jobs, just to make ends meet. So, what I'm over with, and now I want to tell you, and I want to leave you with what I have gained. Yes, what I've gained. Priceless and precious. Memories, including brand new friends, some of them just acquaintances. I know the friendships will get stronger as time goes on. The friendships here on YouTube, the friendships on Facebook, all of you. Friends, new friends. Friends who understand, friends who cheer me on. I call it my tribe. It's a new tribe for me. I had a tribe in the direct sales business, and now I have a nomad tribe. Experiences. I'm doing a camp host job now. It's an experience of a lifetime. I am now 61 years old. These things wouldn't happen if I was in sticks and bricks. You know that. Travels. I have gone to 7 national parks, countless libraries, countless county and few state parks, trails, hiking, seeing waterfalls. Any of you who have watched my past Idaho series or the Utah series, I've been busy and seeing new states. And now I'm into this, like, maybe I can see the 50 states before I die, God willing. I think I've probably, maybe hit 20 or so states so far, so I've got a long ways to go. And I don't mean just driving through, I mean actually visiting them. But mostly I feel like God has given me a new opportunity to make a difference. I have new purpose. I'm showing people how they can live minimally, live in a serene way, in a simple way. Brings me to tears just to help just one more person. And I've already met a lot of people here camp hosting. I share my story with people I'm comfortable with, and I hear the applauds, and I hear the "you go girl," and I like it. I really like it. I'm now embracing and living life to the fullest. I am into new beginnings, as my intro says every single time. Off the treadmill, the dribbling away of the pennies into rent and mortgage, and into the great unknown. So there you have it. I hope you've enjoyed this journey that I just shared with you into Serene and Simple Life, and that you found some takeaways for yourself. Maybe some way I've encouraged you or empowered you, to find yourself joy in your journey, as I like to mention to you each and every time. If you'd like to stay tuned for more sit and share, I'm going to be doing over the next few weeks a few more. I'm going to do, and I know I've told you already, but now they're going to be consistent, my top 10 whys. Now I've shared with you some of my whys today, the over it's, but there's more. It goes into a little bit more depth. And also I'm going to share with you other people's whys. Was at a caravan where we shared in a circle their whys. So that's really cool. Share my whys and their whys, either 1 or 2 times, I'm not sure. Broadcasts. I'm going to call them broadcasts. I'm going to share with you my budget. I'm going to really be up close and personal and let you know what my budget looks like. I'm going to do a question and answer time. So feel free to put questions now in here, or if you've already asked me a question, I'm going to revisit my broadcast and see who's asked me a question, and then kind of speak those out loud and answer for you in something like that. And so please subscribe if you haven't already. Click the bell for these updates. And as always, joy in the journey and blessings in your day. We'll see you next Sunday. Bye.